Welcome, FBP family. Today, my co-host Chantel will be speaking with Martin Rooney in our special Education Intensive show, with the theme being Building Great Team Culture. Hello, I'm your host, Dory Nugent. And every 3 months, we have our Education Intensive show that allows us to dive deeper into a topic for you. Today's Education Intensive is a real how-to show. You will hear specific actions you need to do in order to implement the strategies and ideas. We will hear from Chantel, but first, a huge thank you to ISSA for supporting our show.
Health club leaders, you work hard to ensure your members have the very best fitness experience, right? You need personal trainers who do the same. Become a preferred partner with ISSA, and we'll deliver the best trainers in the industry to your club in a matter of days, fully certified and ready to work. And we'll help you keep those trainers by offering them exclusive discounted pricing on ISSA certifications. Because when your trainers stay, so do your valued members. Becoming a preferred partner with ISSA is absolutely free. Click above or visit issaonline.com/fitbiz to get trainers now.
Thank you, ISSA. Make sure you check out www.issa.com. Next week, I interview Billy Paulson, and we talk about being unique and an unexpected branding pioneer. I'll tell you more later.
OneFitStop is modern fitness studio software built for the growing multi-location studio, providing scheduling, client management, programming, payment collection tools, and more that will set your business up to grow. To find out more, go to onefitstop.com or click on the link in today's show notes.
Let's transition into the Education Intensive with Chantel.
Thanks, Dory, and hi, everyone. You know that feeling that you get when you start reading a new book, and every time you turn the page, you have an aha moment? Well, that is exactly how I felt when I read Martin Rooney's book, High 10. What made me even more excited that was with every page turn, it just reinforced to me what a relevant book and topic this would be for you, our FBP family. I'm not going to give away too much just yet, because the first thing I want to do is tell you a little bit more about my special guest for today. Martin Rooney's mission is to make better coaches. He's a former US bobsledder, Division I track athlete, judo black belt, and Guinness World Record holder. He's the creator of Training for Warriors, which is operated in 20 different countries across the world. And if you're like me and intrigued about what that Guinness World Record was for, well, Training for Warriors had the most people at once do a push-up right around the world. How cool is that? Martin has consulted for Fortune 500 companies, major universities, professional sporting teams, and military organizations. He's also trained Olympic medalists, Super Bowl, and UFC champions. His books, Coach to Coach and High 10, help people improve their coaching and their team cultures. Today, we're going to be chatting specifically about building great team culture. We're going to explore how a business leader differs to a business owner. Martin tells us about culture custodians and culture crusaders. He explains the term lagging indicators and why it's important for business leaders to understand. And he shares examples of positive and negative team rituals. All of that and more is coming up very soon on today's episode, so let's dive straight in. FBP family, I have to tell you, I am super excited about today's interview. Martin Rooney, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, Chantal, and I am excited because, we've got some great stuff to share with the FBP family.
We absolutely do. This is going to be a whole lot of fun, and we're going to get a whole lot of education along the way. I want to start off by saying, first of all, a huge congratulations. I'm going to scoot back into my video and see if I can show everyone. Hang on. We practiced this earlier. There we go.
Yeah.
Both practiced our book showing. Perfect.
I see a lot of I see a lot of sticky notes in there.
There are a lot of sticky notes in here. There is underlines, there's everything. But look, first and foremost, congratulations on the launch of High 10. Absolutely phenomenal book. As I said to you when we were chatting beforehand, I could not put this book down. It was a pleasure to read a hard copy book. It was a pleasure to read a book that every time I went into the next chapter, there was always something that said to me, this is perfect for the FBP family. This is a story and this is information and education that they need to know. So I was just thrilled to be able to read the book, and I'm really excited to be able to chat to you today. So congratulations on the launch of your latest book, Martin.
Well, thanks so much. And it's finally, obviously it launched a few months ago in the United States, but it takes time to get around the world. So Europe, it was another, say, month and a half after that. And now in Oz, it is also, everybody's starting to get the book there now too. So it's kind of neat to hear as it travels around the world, how many people are impacted. But for everybody listening, my history has been in the fitness business. So everything that I learned in the book is not only applicable, but where I learned it was in the fitness business. So if you are afraid to read, hey, like Chantal said, it's an easy story. It's an easy to read story, but every page, there's no fluff. There's great information waiting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And to be honest, I think my biggest challenge with doing this interview today was pulling out just a couple of key things to talk about, because really we probably could have spent an hour or more talking about some of the lessons that you touch on during the book. But I did pull out a couple of my favorites. And I think what I'm going to encourage all of the FBP family to do is, first of all, listen to the interview with Martin and myself today so that you get some of those highlights, but then go through, read the book, and then you kind of will fill in those areas that we don't get a chance to speak about today. That's my recommendation. So, Martin, I wanted to start with one of the things that you actually cover quite early on in the book, and you talk about the difference between someone that owns a business versus someone that leads a business. Tell us what you mean by that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that one of the biggest challenges that I've seen with fitness business owners, and having worked with hundreds and hundreds of them over the years, is that many times they want to call themselves an entrepreneur. And what I always say is, but they're really more of a wantrepreneur. They want to call themselves an entrepreneur. They want to call themselves a business owner. But what they really are is a sole proprietor, or they've really just created a job for themselves. And so a question for everybody listening is, can you leave your business for a month or more and come back and the business is actually better because you left? If you can, then you lead a business. But if you can't, then you own a business. And really that business ends up owning you. And I get it. Somebody might say, well, I like doing all the training, or I really love cleaning the toilets. Well, I think sometimes your energies could be better spent, and you could leverage and create careers for other people through the business that you've created. And I say those things because most of the time fitness business owners are in the business because they love fitness, or they were once a coach or a trainer. But in order to be a business owner, you got to really know business, and you got to be able to lead people. And to do it correctly, you got to have great culture. And that's what High 10 is all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to dive into an area that you talk about when you reference the centerpiece of your culture. So you say people, and you've touched on this already, people are the centerpiece of your culture. And those people fall into two categories: culture crusaders and culture custodians. For anyone that hasn't read the book, do you want to explain a little bit about what each of those groups are?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the custodian idea first. And this was an idea that came to me about culture. And when we hear that word, at least I'm sure in the United States, when someone hears custodian, they often think janitor or someone that cleans a facility, right? So if you were to say, hey, I have a custodian in my facility, that might be the person that mops the floors, is making everything COVID safe. But the real word custodian is someone that cares for something, or someone that is in charge to take care of something, hopefully to leave it better than before they found it. And so what I want everybody to understand, what I try to get across in High 10, is that everyone in your business, you as the leader, your staff members, down to the people that, your customers or members, whatever you call them, and the people that they speak to, they are all custodians of your culture. For instance, if the training staff is toxic, or there's a competitiveness amongst your customers, all of these things can be damaging to your culture, and then they're not acting as good custodians. So the custodian is this idea, just to get everybody aware that, man, everybody is in control of your culture, and it could be damaged very quickly by any one of those people. Now, the idea, the second that you mentioned, and as you know, there are a number of different categories besides this, but I think the most important one is, of your custodians, the most important people are your crusaders. Those are the people that, man, they live and bleed your organization. They will do anything to defend the culture that you've put in place, if you have actually put one in place. And that person is your most valuable person, to make sure that they stand up for the way that you want things done. But what I've noticed, which is a paradox, is often the people that are our greatest crusaders are the ones that we appreciate least. It's usually our horrible custodians that we spend all our time on them, or we worry about them, or we invest our energy in them, only making them expand more, while our crusaders go unappreciated. So if everybody understands the concept of crusader, I'm challenging you right now, is when I was talking about it, if you pictured your best staff member, or you pictured this student or customer that has been with you for years and years and years, and you are not constantly thanking, recognizing, appreciating, and rewarding them for that, just if you do that, it'll be worth it that you've listened to us today, because that'll not only enhance your business, but it's going to make sure that you don't lose the people that are most important to you. So that hopefully explains a little bit, but as you said, there's so much more waiting inside of the book.
There is, but I'm glad that you made that point, because I think you draw a great example in the book of who that person is that perhaps is going unnoticed or unappreciated, and the turnaround to be able to actually recognize that person. So I think it's great to think about those people within our businesses. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on, which you briefly mentioned in there, is I guess a bit more of a difficult situation when you do have someone who is perhaps toxic in the business, or is not supporting the vision of the business and not supporting the team and the leadership. And you do give a great example of that in the book. And I suspect that there will be many of our FBP family out there that perhaps someone popped into their mind when you mentioned that as well. And this is a little bit of a bonus question, and that is, what advice would you give to people that are listening right now that do have that person in their business, or recognize those traits in their business? What should they do?
The number one is, it's not if, it's they do. So everybody, if you are in the fitness business, don't tell me that every single person involved with your business, from your staff to your customers to, the people talking about your business, is all positive and creating the culture you want. It doesn't happen. But if you are a true business leader, then it is your job, it is your responsibility to address those people and make sure, and here's what I say a lot in the book, you either coach them up or you coach them out. And always, as a business owner, you reserve the right who you also work with. I think sometimes everybody thinks it's this right to use your business. No, it's a privilege. And if there are people holding you hostage, either on your staff, because they've been there a long time, or you pay them a lot, or customers because they've been there a long time and you're afraid to lose them for $100, hey, it's time to step up and be a real leader and a defender of your culture. And that's what a crusader really is. So maybe to clarify too, the most important crusader is you. So if you're the business leader, you have to be the most important crusader. And many times I find that's the person that's one of the least. So what we're saying there is, you've got to address those people immediately if they are not contributing to the culture you want. If they are toxic and you don't believe they can be changed, they need to go. And you need to have that conversation. It's going to strengthen you as a leader. And as you know in the book, that happens I make it one of the most difficult situations to ever have to do. And that's why the main protagonist had such a hard and long time doing it. So I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying it's your responsibility. And if, again, you want to own a business or you want to say it's your business, it's also your culture and you have to do something about it.
Yeah. And I like what you just said earlier when you said you need to coach up or you need to coach out, even in a difficult situation. Thank you for explaining that and diving into that little bonus question for me, Martin. I wanted to chat next about lagging indicators because you talk about this in the book. For anyone that hasn't heard that term before, do you want to explain what you mean by the term lagging indicators and why it's important for business leaders to understand that term?
Yeah, I think it's very, very important, and a term that I got introduced to many, many years ago. Obviously, when it comes to indicators, I would maybe say the two most important, everybody's hopefully heard of KPIs or key performance indicators. And as a fitness business owner, you better understand what those are for your business. Now, whether that is profit, whether that is gross revenue, whether that is the number of members you have, attrition rates, you have to understand the numbers of your business inside and out. And that's your key performance indicators. And that's going to tell you the health and longevity of your business. But I also delineate something called lagging indicators. And what I mean by that is those are indicators that are happening now because of things that have been in place for a while. Right. So, for instance, a lagging indicator and what we address in the book is what, hey, is your culture great or is your culture toxic? Are people leaving or are people coming in droves? These are lagging indicators. Hey, the holidays are coming. Are you getting a number of letters and gifts from all your members? Those would be lagging indicators of incredible jobs well done. Whereas if there are crickets or silence when that happens, or people, or here would be a great one. You ready for a great one? I'm having a breakthrough. If, when the pandemic happened, regardless of where you are, and there was a shutdown, if everybody called that day to either cancel or freeze their card, that is a lagging indicator of things were not so great and relationships were not that strong. But if you received 100 phone calls that said, keep charging my card because we can never have you go out of business and we stand by you. These are powerful lagging indicators, my friends. And hey, you can measure yourself accordingly, but they are indicators of things that had been happening for a long time. And when challenges surface, that's when you really see them. So hopefully that's an explanation or, as fast as possible. But in the book, there's so much more detail on it. And how you can use those or use those to tell you where you are or where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great example, especially of that pandemic situation, because I think that a lot of people will be able to relate to that, given what we've gone through in the last 18 months or so. So thank you for explaining that. So Martin, you may or may not know this, but we actually had James Kerr on the show. Do you know who James Kerr is?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So he wrote Legacy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he was actually on episode 369 for anyone that missed it. So James Kerr is the author of Legacy. And as a matter of fact, in your book, in High 10, you actually share an example of the New Zealand All Blacks and you talk about that ritual that they perform, which is the haka, of course. And one of the lines that I loved is you say that rituals are the most influential behaviours that your team can perform to uphold your culture. I absolutely loved reading that. So I thought I would love to hear from you 3 examples of positive team rituals and then perhaps 3 examples of negative team rituals. Can you share those with us?
Yeah. So, and just as a side note, where I got that book was in Australia from our mutual friend, Dan Henderson, where I actually stole it off his shelf. He said, you got to read this. Because, obviously in the U.S., rugby is not, one of our major sports. And I read that book on Bondi Beach in Australia by myself. So I have a very fond memory of that one. And it really resonated.
That's awesome. Well, shout out to Dan. Dan, thanks for sharing.
Well, and Mr. Kerr, too. Please shout him out, too. Because great book. So as the example, so what I want everybody here, just like lagging indicators, I guess you could almost say that rituals are also lagging indicators of the culture that you've created. And what I mean by those is these are these behaviors that we perform over and over that become either indicative or defining of what we are. And why I use the haka is it's almost incredible to watch that, but there's so much more behind it of what it means and what it stands for. It's not just a dance. It is them really proclaiming who they are according to their history and what they are upholding. And your rituals, whether you know or not, they're the same. Now, you asked for some good ones. I would say some great rituals that a coach or leader can put into place in their business. Training, right? So often we hire people, don't train them at all. And then they're off to the races and we never grow them. And, it ends up not being great. But when people are really trained and we really focus on those people, that's a great ritual to follow. Another one is collaboration, where I think everybody should work together. It shouldn't be a competitive environment. It should be an environment where everybody is on a team. And I think we do that one wrong a lot as well, especially say in training where maybe someone that's doing more classes makes more money. And, it can almost create a backstabbing organization versus an organization of support. But it's pretty interesting. So what do I say in the book? Hey, what a high five you mentioned today, or high tens, what is it that you see your people doing over and over to recognize each other, appreciate each other? These are incredible rituals that the most successful teams and businesses in the world do in some way. And then the absence of those are ways to immediately have a business that isn't strong. But rituals you don't want: gossip, clicks, backstabbing, demeaning, or embarrassing. These are all things that also happen in the workplace. But if those become the rituals of your culture's not strong, and your business probably isn't going to be around for very long. And if any of those you've just heard are things that happen, it's not to get frustrated. You got to get fascinated, because it's not anybody's fault if you haven't really learned about this stuff. This isn't something we teach in school. This isn't something that we're taught often in business. And that's why not only did I write the book, but that's why I'm speaking on it all the time, because again, it really got identified as one of the most important things we don't pay attention to, in particular when challenges surface like they have the last couple of years.
Yeah. They're great. They're all excellent examples, Martin. I was writing them down as you were talking about them. And one of the other things that popped into my mind as you were talking, and I don't know if you would call this a ritual, but to me it was such a significant part of the book, and that is the behavior of the leader. And in your example, he was originally coming into the office and coming into the workplace, going straight into the office and not talking to anyone, and then slowly change that behavior to make time to go and lunch with people, or go and find out how they are in the morning, or actually walk the floor. And if I think back over the years of my career, I've had both of those people before. That experience where you have the owner of the business walk straight in, not talk to anyone, just go straight and close the office door, and that was it. And there's zero connection, versus that leader that makes the impact because they come and say hi in the morning or check what's going on in different departments. And I thought that was really significant, because I think we can probably all relate to having been in that environment with that person before.
Well, and the word that you're bringing up right there is communication. Mm-hmm. So what is the ritual of communication? Is it run and hide, or is it address things immediately in real time and in an honest manner? And for everybody listening, and this is very important, it's easier to do the first one. It's easier not to address toxic people. It's easier not to address problems when they're happening and hope they go away. But as you will learn in this book, hope for a great culture is not a strategy, right? You've got to design it, or someone else will. And I don't think anybody maybe before this book understood that. I know there are books about culture, but this one is really hitting the concept of it's up to you. And just like we've hit that a lot today, hey, I'm talking to everybody right now. And I'm hoping that immediately you're going to feel, oh my gosh, there's so much that I have to do. And again, that's not bad. I'm not coaching you down. I'm coaching you up, where as we move into the new year, this is an opportunity now to address those and create the culture that you always dreamed of instead of the culture that you ended up with. And both of those happen. And one is by design and one is by default. And default rarely produces world-class cultures, teams, and businesses. So again, if you own a business, you own your culture, and there's a lot more things you got to learn about than just KPIs and 401ks.
100%, absolutely.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
Your tips on how to foster culture with team members that work remotely.
And that's a great question. And remember, as I think, discussed before, when I wrote this book, it was during the pandemic. And so we do address that a little bit in the book, that they're having problems there too, that people are remote. How do I stay connected? And here's what I would say. It's just, I'll use marketing as an example. The principles of marketing never change, just the technology of how we do it does, right? Like, so we're probably not sending direct mailers anymore, but you still got to understand copy. You still got to understand how to solve problems. You still got to have the right offers. All these things never change, and you got to know how to sell. Well, in terms of now that we've moved remotely, but it's still a relationship. And to keep a relationship strong, you've got to communicate. You've got to be honest. You've got to make sure to keep the door open. So just like we're speaking now, we're speaking in two different hemispheres on the planet Earth, but we're still connecting over this information because, hey, we may not be skin to skin, but we're still face to face. And what I would say is, for anybody that's working with people remotely, whether that's your customers, your clients, is it as great as if they were in your facility? No, but that means instead of laying back, you got to lean in more. What are other ways that you can communicate? Is it text? Is it social media? Is it also on Zoom, Facebook Lives? I don't know what it is, but you got to do more, because if you allow the communication to grow stale, this is very important, usually negativity fills that space. So, have you ever I haven't talked to that person in a while. Something must be wrong. Oh, there's something wrong with me or wrong with them. It's not good. You've got to keep that communication stoked and keep communicating nonstop. And I'm going to tell everybody right now, that's what I did with my business, Training for Warriors, for the last year and a half. Instead of laying back, I leaned in. I communicated more. I made sure to help solve any problems, anything I could do, versus disappearing. Because I know if I would have disappeared, maybe my business would have too. And again, if you're a business leader, you got, and you own it, you're not going to let that happen. So my advice would be, you got to make sure that communication is robust, and you do your best to continue to make sure it's as strong as possible.
Keep Me, smarter member retention. KeepMe.ai.
Martin, this has been so much fun. I love your energy. I absolutely adored the book. So thank you. As I said to you, I felt engaged from start to finish, and I just thought it was so relevant for all of the FBP family out there. So just to finish off, let's talk about resources for a minute, because we both showed your book earlier, High 10, but have you got a copy of Coach to Coach there as well?
I do.
Oh, you do? Yep. Awesome. So, guys, what we will do is put the links in the show notes for both of Martin's books, so you can so that you can check those out. Martin, are there any other resources that you want to share with the FBP family today?
What I would say is, hey, if you liked what you heard, check me out online. You can go to coachinggreatness.com, or if you like social media, I am the Martin Rooney on Instagram. I'm always putting up either training stuff or stuff with my family. And you can also check out trainingforwarriors.com and see the stuff that we're doing in the fitness space too. But hey, if nothing else, I just hope this was helpful for everybody. I know how important it is, but it's not just knowing how important it is, it's actually doing it. So the things you heard today, they're easy to understand, just like the book is easy to read. But to put this stuff into practice, sometimes it can be hard to do. And maybe, again, just to reiterate, but as the business owner, it's your responsibility. That's why they call you the boss, right? And you get paid the big bucks. So you got to do the tough stuff. So again, happy holidays, depending on when you hear this. And again, I just hope everybody enjoys the book and it helps you help more people with fitness.
Thank you so much, Martin. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today. Thank you for joining us on the Fitness Business Podcast.
My pleasure.
Did you know that the active ingredient in most disinfecting wipes has well-documented lung, skin, and reproductive health concerns? That active ingredient is called a quaternary ammonium compound, or a quat, not necessarily something you'd want in a health and wellness facility. VaporFresh disinfecting gym wipes avoid all quats and instead use an innovative citric acid chemistry to disinfect. Even with this greener chemistry, VaporFresh is still EPA registered to disinfect 99.9% of surfaces. VaporFresh is trusted by some of the most premier gyms and college rec centers nationwide. With 1,200 wipes per roll and 4 rolls per case, they offer an unbeatable value per wipe. Order today at vaporfresh.com or Amazon.
Quickfire 5.
Welcome, Billy Paulson, founder of Diacati Fitness and the Business Movement, which is a consulting company that focuses on branding and operations. Join along as we hear from Billy and why our FBP family needs to tune in next week to listen. It is time for our Quick Fire 5 with Billy Paulson. Billy is the founder and co-owner of Diacati Fitness, and he's also the owner of the Business Movement, which is a consulting company that focuses on branding, operations, and system development for personal trainers and boutique studio owners. Billy, welcome to the Quick Fire 5.
Thanks, Dory. I'm psyched to be here.
All righty. We are really excited to have you here. I know this has been in the making for a long time. So let's hear your answers for your answer for question number 1. What is a life lesson you learned from the pandemic?
Well, my big takeaway is that just because every single other person in our industry is doing something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right direction for me to take my business. And I'm specifically talking about virtual fitness. It has been a lesson that I've worked with several of my clients on over the last couple of years. If you are not psyched to be jumping out of bed and running your business and developing your brand, then just because everyone else is doing it does not mean you should do it. Creatively tweak it until you find something you're psyched to do.
Okay. And if you could play a character in any movie, what character would it be?
I was born to play Bill from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I mean, come on. It's a Southern California surfer who's got a telephone booth that's a time machine that you can travel anywhere in history, in the world, and get to experience all these things that we've read about and heard about. So how could you not say yes to that?
And you know what? You also have to add Wayne's World, that dynamic duo. They kind of like go, and Beavis and Butthead. That's all like the same time era.
I'm just thankful that you knew what the movie was. I asked my barber the other day, I was like, Bill and Ted's, right? He was like, no. I was like, no.
I think we're probably around the same age. I just think that away. Yeah. All right, here we go. Please complete this sentence. Sunday morning, you can find me.
Oh, my Sunday mornings are like my own version of church. I protect my Sunday mornings for adventures with my husband and my 2 German Shepherds. And specifically this time of year, ideally they are Tahoe adventures in Tahoe, California, especially in the side country, hiking with the dogs and snowboarding down the hill with the dogs. If you have not snowboarded down the hill with your dog running full speed down the hill beside you, you have not experienced true joy. It is the most wonderful thing in the world.
Oh, well, I have a golden retriever that would love to experience that.
Yes.
Yeah. All righty. Now, how about a book recommendation for all of our FBP family out there?
Definitely. During the pandemic, I started Michael McCalloway's. He has a new book. He has so many amazing books, but his most recent one is called Get Different. First of all, it spoke to me because it literally is the same topic you and I are going to talk about. It is about the idea of being unique and stand out and unexpected in your marketing. So it truly spoke directly to my soul and really what my goals are for so much of the lessons and so much of the work I'm doing with clients in 2022. So Get Different by Michael McAlliwiz.
All righty. And I feel like you kind of already just gave us a little bit of an elevator pitch, but I'm going to still give you the stage and just give your elevator pitch on why everybody should come back next week to tune in for your episode.
I'm going to challenge each of you. I want you to take an honest look at your marketing, your customer experience, and your products and services. Now, if they are not truly blowing the minds of your target customer in unique and, again, unexpected ways, if you are not successfully doing that, you have to come back in a week. And we're going to talk about actionable items in all three of those areas to guarantee that you will become that standalone leading option in your market.
All right. You said it better than I could. Hey, everybody out there, come on back for Billy Paulson next week. And we talk about be an unexpected branding pioneer. I hope you enjoyed today's show with Chantel and Martin. I want to personally thank you for joining us today. And if you would like to contact Martin for more information, or if you would like to purchase one or both of his books, then I'm going to direct you to our show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com for all things Martin Rooney. Thank you to our founding partner, Active Management. Our partners, Keep Me, MyZone, Discover Strength, Tribe Team Training, One Fit Stop, and ISSA. Thank you to our advertisers, Rex Roundtables, MX Metrics, and Vaporfresh. We believe what you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but woven into the lives of others.